Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing, and let's talk about ZHILEI ZHANG and Joe Joyce, the rematch. It's coming up on Saturday. Big heavyweight clash, intriguing fight because, as you may well know, Joyce got stopped in the first fight because of an eye injury. His right eye was shut tight, and it was it one-way traffic? Yeah, pretty much one-way traffic for the first for those 6 rounds. Joyce was stopped by the ref in the 6th round of that fight. He'd been badly shaken, at least momentarily, in I can't remember which round it was, the 3rd, the 4th, something like that. But of course, we all look at Joyce and we all think he's got this steel jaw and he can soak up any amount of punishment. Well, he actually came back quite well. I mean, considering the amount of left hands, that's the backhand for Zhang because he's he's a southpaw fighter. The amount of punches that Joyce took, I mean, he really did prove his chin again. It's just that you can't go on taking punches like that, and hence the reason the eye blew up. Fortunately, he didn't have any sort of orbital bone injury. It was just pretty much cosmetic, although still a very nasty injury. But yeah, it was pretty much one-way traffic for Zhang. Maybe the first... No, actually, I was going to say maybe the first couple of rounds Joyce had some success, but he actually didn't. I'm pretty certain I gave every round to Zhang. Anyway, what about the rematch? Well, there's a few things we have to mention. First of all, the age of the fighters. Joe Joyce is 38 and Zhang is 40. So neither of these men is a young man. They're both experienced as amateurs. Both Olympians, both have quite a bit of experience now in the pro game. Joyce 15 wins with 14 KOs and that one defeat, and Zhang 25 1-1. The one defeat was 2 fights ago to Filip Hrgović, unanimous decision, and some people think Zhang won that fight. Hrgović has looked pretty lousy in his last 2 fights, including that one. The draw was to Jerry Forrest, and Forrest was down 3 times. I think it was in the first 3 rounds, 1 knockdown for each round. And Zhang lost a point in round 9. It was a 10-rounder, 10-round draw, majority draw. But a lot of people think Forrest actually pulled back the deficit and edged that fight. And I can understand them thinking that, because that was my impression when I watched it. But Zhang says that he had, was it kidney issues or liver issues? I think it was kidney issues. He was dehydrated at the end of that fight, had to go to hospital, but he had health reasons, let's put it that way, hence the reason Forrest almost beat him. But it is noticeable though that although Zhang had success early on, he was hanging on for dear life by the end of it and looking very, very distressed. Now, that rather begs the question, against Joyce, had Joyce not picked up the injury, the eye injury, in the second half of the fight, could he come on strong and pull back the deficit and either stopped or outpointed Zhang? And I don't think that's a far-fetched scenario. I think that Joyce has got a terrific engine, as well as a great chin. If you put a good engine and a good chin together, you got a problem, for any opponent. And it wouldn't surprise me if Joyce shows that engine in this fight, even though he is 38. And he tests Zhang's stamina and durability. There are 2 ways I see this fight going. One is that I definitely think after 6 rounds, unless there is a Hail Mary punch and a stoppage, which I doubt, you're going to see Zhang leading after the first 6 rounds. But if Joyce can avoid picking up another bad injury, another potential fight-ending injury, and if he can avoid soaking up too much punishment, whereby he's not, he hasn't had Zhang hasn't drawn his sting and he hasn't used up too much energy just getting through those 6 rounds, I think what we could see is Joyce coming on over the second half of the fight, getting closer, working Zhang over, sapping Zhang's gas tank, and pulling away and winning a decision, a close decision, or possibly even stopping Zhang. I've heard people say, oh, this is going to be a repeat, pretty much like the first fight. I don't understand why people are saying that, because yes, Joyce was, first of all, Joyce came, for the first fight, Joyce came in light, which was questionable, a questionable decision, light by his standards anyway, which suggested he was going to move rather than be the juggernaut and put the pressure on. And that kind of appeared to be his tactics in the first fight. Number two, he didn't look like he'd ever faced a southpaw before in his life, and Zhang was having a lot of success with the jab and with the backhand, which would be his left hand. And number three, Joyce didn't seem to put on too much pressure, like he normally does. You know, in the past against people like, well, Joseph Parker was his previous fight, and that was a very good performance. He put the pressure on early on, right from the off, against a smaller man and kept it there. Now, Zhang certainly isn't a smaller man. He's actually weighed more, and he's the same height as Joyce. They're both 6'6". But I would still think that Joyce's best way to win is to go for Zhang. And is it risky because of Zhang's skills? Yeah, it's risky, but so what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, Zhang does the basics very, very well. He is a good, tidy, neat boxer. But if you can take him out of that rhythm by putting the pressure on him and by draining him mentally, and of course physically, but making him think for every second of every round, it's quite possible that that boxing skill might diminish as the fight goes on, that he might lose his shape, that he might start to fire don't hurt me punches, that he might start to look to hold, which is not the thing you want to do with Joyce because he's a big strong lad. So I think that Joyce has a terrific chance of, you know, overturning that first fight, like I say, and winning either on points or by late stoppage, like round 10, 11, something like that. However, that's a question of whether Zhang can hang tough in the second half of the fight. Like I say, I think Zhang, after 6 rounds, will probably be ahead. And I think if he holds his boxing together, he can hang on and win a decision. Bar an injury like the eye injury, I don't think he's going to stop Joyce, unless there is, say, a repeat of that injury or a similar one, which means it goes to points. I see this as being, you know, this is such a difficult fight to predict. And also, let's not forget the bodywork. If the one thing that people say about Joyce is he's quite vulnerable to the body, I want to see punches from Zhang to the body. Although at the same time, you know, Zhang's got a big body as well, plenty to aim at, so Joyce might benefit a bit from that. If Joyce is able to, or let's put it this way, if Zhang is able to still give Joyce fits with the southpaw stance, still be busy with the backhand as well as the jab, constant bang, bang, bang with the jab, keep Joyce honest, use his feet, Zhang, side to side, lots of lateral movement, make Joyce constantly reset, I think Zhang can rack up enough points in the first sort of 6 to 8 rounds where he might be able to hang on for a tight decision. And although I can absolutely see a way that Joyce can win this fight, and I'm tempted to pick Joyce, I really am tempted to pick Joyce, but nevertheless I think that I'm going to say that Zhang hangs on to win a close, maybe even a controversial decision. And I think all of that work will come in the first sort of 6 to 8 rounds. You know, in the last third of the fight, if Joyce is still in there and he starts to maul Zhang and he starts to grapple and, you know, really wear the guy out, I think that Zhang's in for a tough time in those last 4 rounds, but I think he will probably win a decision based on his work in the first 2/3 of the fight. And don't forget, Zhang hasn't got a bad chin himself, and he did show some grit against Jerry Forrest. If you go with the narrative that Zhang had issues, health issues, hanging on against Forrest with that level of distress and discomfort did show a fighting heart. So I'm going to pick Zhang on points, a close points decision, but I don't do that with any great confidence. So let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen in this fight? It is an intriguing fight. The big heavyweight dust up again. You know, where does the winner go? Do they get are they mandatory for one of Usyk's belts? It's another fight that keeps Fury away from Usyk, which is probably why Warren wants it. These are a couple of pawns in on his chessboard to protect the king, which is Fury. But this should be a good fight, and I think the winner puts himself in a very, very good position to put some pressure on whichever ruling body it is. WBO, isn't it? It's for the WBO. Oh, it's for the WBO interim heavyweight title. So yes, of course, it's the WBO. But yeah, let me know what you think. Where do you think this is going? Who's winning? Let me know your thoughts. Comments below. Thanks as always for your time. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd appreciate that, and hit the like button so they can count the little likes, and just spread the word about the channel. I'd really appreciate that. All right, looking forward to reading your comments, and bye for now.